Hi, today I'm going to be doing my Alverno lesson plan for story writing for ED 216. I am unable to use my classroom because I already told my field teacher I only had one video and one observation, so I will be using my 5th grade brother, Bradley.
Hi.
We're going to use the computer since he will be doing an online activity along with discussion, but I will be in the screen during discussion and everything. And obviously it's going to go a lot faster than the intended lesson plan, which was an intended 60 minutes. I highly doubt it'll take that long because it's not going to be as much discussion, and he's also going to be filling stuff out online versus writing it out, so that'll go faster as well. So I guess we'll see how long it takes. But yeah, here we go. So, Bradley, today we're going to be talking about short story writing. What to you makes a story good?
That has good punctuation.
That's why you pick out a story, because of punctuation?
Well, not really,
What makes you want to read a story?
Because of the back.
And what is it that's on the back?
A summary.
Okay. Do you like stories that have a lot of action?
I like stories that are funny.
Funny stories. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So now we're going to be talking about what is needed to make a story important. And to show all the forms that are going to be used, I'm going to go to my MRT and go under lesson plans, and I'm going to bring up the specific pieces. So right now we're going to be using the plot worksheet. I would have this actually on the smartboard or whiteboard, whichever is available to me in my classroom. And the students would have this worksheet. So, now, Bradley, do you know what the exhibition part of the plot line is? This is one of the most important pieces to a plot line.
No.
If you don't know, well, the exhibition is kind of like the background information. It's going to tell you about the characters. It's going to tell you about the setting. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be in your story, but eventually all these pieces are going to be throughout your story. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the next part of a plot line is the rising action. Do you have any idea what the rising action is?
Like when something important happens?
Yeah, kind of. It can also be the start of a conflict. A lot of times it's the start of a conflict because then what it's going to lead to is the climax. Which, do you know what the climax is? If you look at the example, you see it's going up higher.
There's a lot more tension.
Yeah, and it can also be, it's kind of like the highest point of your story. Because then after that, everything is going to go downhill from there, which is your falling action. Which, can you explain in more detail what falling action may be?
Maybe like when the problem starts to look a little better.
That's exactly what it is. And then last part of a plot line is the resolution.
And that's when something good happens.
Yeah, it's just how the story ends as well. Because it doesn't always end on a good term. So the students obviously would be filling this out, and we would have a much longer discussion on this. So then after we go over the worksheet, I'm going to let them know what's going on next. So today we're going to be writing short stories. And we're going to work in the following genres: adventure, sci-fi, or fantasy. Now, I'd like for you to explain to me the 3 of those genres. What does an adventure book mean to you?
Like people have like a goal to do something.
A goal? Okay. Think of an adventure story. Like, what's a typical adventure story?
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is a good example of an adventure story. So like things with cowboys, things with adventurers, treasure hunters, anything that has a lot of adventure in it, basically. Can you give me an example of a fantasy story?
Well, there'd be like fairies and talking dogs and flying pigs and unicorns.
That's a great example. Okay. And last genre is sci-fi.
Like in well, it kind of have like it could happen because it's science fiction.
Right. So what kind of things would you find in science fiction?
Like aliens.
Uh-huh. Great. So that was a great discussion. Now, I would be having my students, after we have our discussion, and go to the computers and go on to the website. So I'm going to set that up, but look nice. Okay, so now if you go back to the website, I have a link to the resource. So today, students, Bradley, we're going to be using story starters. And remember the genres that we talked about?
Yeah.
So now you see that there is adventure, fantasy, and sci-fi. I would like you to choose one of the themes. And then click on it. Okay, so basically what Story Starters is it's a very nice story setting prompt. You should follow the on-screen directions. And the nice thing about Story Starters is they have prompts for everything from kindergarten through 6th grade. So now, you're going to follow what you're allowed to do is you spin the big spinner, and you are allowed to change only 2 out of the 4 spins if you are not happy with the prompt that is given to you. So, for example, his says, write about a quest to find a vain nymph who brews a love potion. So he's only allowed to change 2 of the categories. So now write an expedition log for a vain nymph who brews a love potion.
Don't even know what that is.
So now his story is write an expedition log for an innocent nymph who brews a love potion. Alright, sounds like a good prompt. Now click next. Okay, so now what students would be doing is they would actually be physically writing out their information on their outline catalog, but Bradley is going to be able to use the on-screen, and if you go back to my MRT, you can find it under outline, and it'll open up in a Word piece. And it has a lot on here. And we're going to pause the video for a second to get rid of the lines because those are hard to use when working on Word. So, in this instance, as you see, the prompt is different than what it was originally because Bradley came to me as the teacher and explained he didn't know what a nymph was. And he was kind of confused with the prompt that was given to him, and I agreed. He stated his point. So he was able to do a full spin and had to take whatever he got then and choose between the 2. And he chose the new prompt, which is a fable about a magnificent goblin whose winged boots fly away. So here is the outline worksheet for the students, and he's going to fill this out, and then I'll instruct for the next step once he's done.
So how would I What would the characters be? Would I have to make them up?
Well, you obviously have a goblin character, so you can give him a name. You can add in other characters too. But remember, it's a short story, so you probably only want to have maybe max 4 characters. But obviously you need your main character and possibly a extra character added. How's it going, Bradley?
Good.
Okay, let me know if you need any help.